Now we consider scattering in the low energy regime. The technique used for the analysis of low energy scattering is referred to as partial wave analysis, where we involve the act of decomposing a plane wave that will be representing the incoming beam of particles into an assembly of secondary wavelets which are spherical waves. And this act of identifying a plane wave into an assembly of spherical waves is referred to as partial wave analysis. Generally, this method is applicable in the case of the fact that the potential that is reasonable for scattering or the potential offered by the target material happens to be a central potential, in the sense that V of R is equal to V of R, where R is a vector here, whereas R is the magnitude here. So the potential depends only on the distance or the separation from the scattering center, and the potential is finite in the sense that as R tends to infinity, V of R tends to 0. So that at infinity there is no question of any interaction between the target material and the incoming beam of particles or the scattered beam of particles. There occur interaction only in the close vicinity of the target material. And the method is applicable when the energy of the incident beam of particles is extremely smaller, so that the particles are able to interact with the target material for a comparatively longer duration. And the mathematical procedure used will be based on the fact that in the central potential, the motion of this incoming beam of particles will be such that angular momentum of the incoming beam of particles will be a conserved quantity. That means if a particle is moving along this direction and another particle along this direction, this will be having an angular momentum due to its relative position from the target material. This will have another angular momentum due to its different relative separation from the target material. And hence the angular momentum of this particle and the angular momentum of this particle will be different, or the angular momentum of any particle of the incoming plane wave will be different, and this angular momentum will be a conserved quantity. Long before scattering there will be a definite angular momentum, and this angular momentum will be retained even long after scattering as well, since the motion is assumed to be in a central force field motion, so that the angular momentum will be a conserved quantity. To go with this idea, first of all, we will have to decompose a plane wave, which is essentially the incoming plane wave, into partial waves having definite constant angular momentums. For that, mathematically, a plane wave is represented by psi equal to e raised to I k dot r. Free particle Schrodinger equation happens to be a mathematical equation of whose solution will be generally a plane wave. That is minus h bar square by 2 mu del square psi equal to h cross square k square by 2 mu psi. Or multiplying this by means of 2 mu by h cross square, this becomes minus del square psi equal to k square psi, or del square plus k square psi equal to 0. Normalized solution, of course the solution will be e raised to I k dot r. That is the plane wave solution. This is nothing other than the Helmholtz equation, and the solution is a plane wave represented by e raised to I k dot r. However, this is to be taken into consideration along the three possible directions. Then putting a normalization constant, say A, and evaluating this normalization constant in spherical polar coordinates, you can find this value is equal to 1 by root 2 pi along one direction. If you take it along the three possible directions, this will be 1 by root 2 pi raised to 3, or 2 pi raised to minus 3 by 2 e raised to I k dot r. And this is often referred to as the linear momentum representation of the incoming plane wave, since this involves this parameter k, and k is related to linear momentum p as p equal to h cross k. So, since the representation involved the wave vector k, which is a measure of the linear momentum, this representation is often referred to as linear momentum representation. However, the plane wave can have an angular momentum representation as well. For that, let the principal axis of the problem is along this direction that include the scattering center, and we assume that we have parallel beam of particles propagating along all possible directions. Now the angular positioning of this beam of particle will be say R1, and the angular position of this beam of particle will be say R2. With respect to R1, this beam of particle will have a particular angular momentum R1 cross P, and with respect to R2, this beam of particle will have a particular angular momentum that will be different from that of the angular momentum of all particles having position vector say R1 with respect to the principal axis, that is R2 cross P. So, though the linear momentum of all the incoming beam of particles are exactly equal, they can be viewed as an assembly of different particles having specific angular momentums. Under such a circumstance, we can have a representation of this incoming plane wave in addition to this momentum representation in terms of an angular momentum representation. It is exactly that we now have to evaluate. For that, the Schrodinger equation, the time-independent Schrodinger equation representing the incoming beam of particle may be written as h psi of r equal to E psi of r, where h is minus h bar square by 2 mu del square. In SPC, del square has this meaning within this bracket, minus h bar square by 2 mu 1 by r square dou by dou r of r square dou by dou r minus L square by h cross square r square. Also, we know that L square and Lz commute with h from our knowledge on angular momentum conservation. Commutator h L square equal to 0 and commutator h Lz equal to 0. Either Lz or Lx or Ly. One among these three components commute. For the sake of our analysis, we often take Lz as that component which commute with h. This means that h, L square and Lz have joint eigenvectors. If two operators commute, the eigenvectors of one of the operator will be the same as that of the second operator as well. So eigenvectors of h all are eigenvectors of L square as well as Lz. But eigenvectors of L square and Lz are the spherical harmonic terms satisfying the eigenvalue equation L square ylm theta phi equal to L into L plus 1 h bar square ylm theta phi, and Lz operating over ylm theta phi equal to mh cross ylm theta phi. So that psi of r will be equal to psi k lm of r, theta and phi. The theta and phi dependent term, the angular coordinate dependent terms are nothing other than the spherical harmonic. Then there must be a radial part, that is RKL of r. It is that radial part which we will now have to evaluate. For that, substitute this nature of wave function psi satisfying the Schrodinger equation corresponding to scattering for the Schrodinger equation for the free particle in this format h psi equal to E psi. We get, instead of h, we have this operator minus h bar square by 2 mu, this one operating over r into y, equal to h cross square k square by 2 mu, that is the energy on the right side, ry. Now, modifying this minus 1 by r square, we multiply throughout by means of 2 mu by h cross square. 2 mu by h cross square vanishes on the left side, minus 1 by r square d by dr of r square d by dr ry, minus make it plus L square by h cross square r square ry equal to 2 mu by h cross square vanishes on the right side, we have k square ry. Now this term involved only space dependent or say position operator dependent operators. Y is taken out, minus y, 1 by r square d by dr of r square dr by dr plus r by h cross square r square. L square operating over ylm theta phi is L into L plus 1 h cross square y equal to k square ry. that is minus y by r square. Now we have to apply the product rule of differentiation here. R square d square r by dr square plus dr by dr into derivative of r square, that is 2r, plus r by h cross square r square L into L plus 1 h cross square y equal to k square ry. Dividing this equation by y and rearranging, we get it, say d square r by dr square plus 2 by r dr by dr minus L into L plus 1 r by r square equal to minus k square r. Or d square by dr square plus 2 by r d by dr plus k square minus L into L plus 1 by r square operating over r k L of r equal to 0, where k square we have already seen this is 2 mu e by h cross square. Now this is a radial differential equation that is known to you, which is the Bessel differential equation, whose solution include two different parts: the spherical Bessel function jkl of r and spherical Newman's function nl of kr. However, the Newman function has a drawback. It is not finite at the origin, and we require that the wave function to be well behaved, for which the wave function must be finite everywhere. So Newman function cannot be taken as a solution, and the only solution that is acceptable for the radial part of the wave function is the spherical Bessel function JL of kr, so that the overall wave function representing the incoming particle is JL of kr into YLM of theta, phi. As L is varying from 0, 1, 2 up to infinity, as long as the incoming plane wave is concerned, this is assumed to be the principal axis, and practically, though there is only particles up to a distinct extent, the target can view this as a varying up to infinity. And corresponding to each and every value of L, M varies from minus L through 0 to plus L. So this verb represents a group of verbs, a very large number of verbs each having a particular angular momentum, and are spherical verbs as well, since this function happens to be a spherical function. So this involves the decomposition, or this realizes the decomposition of the plane wave as a single entity as the sum of an infinitely large number of spherical waves having angular momentum varying from 0 to infinity depending upon their angular position. This kind of a decomposition of a plane wave into an assembly of secondary waves that are having definite constant angular momenta is referred to as partial wave decomposition. However, the plane wave now then can have two different representations: a momentum representation that we have seen in the beginning, and a spherical partial wave representation that we have just seen. And in quantum mechanics, we know that if a function can have two different representations, then the representation in one Hilbert space can be taken as a linear combination in terms of expansion coefficients of the representation in the second choice of basis. Rather than Hilbert space, this is in terms of basis. So e raised to ikr is the momentum representation. JL of kr YLM theta phi is the angular momentum representation. This momentum representation, linear momentum representation, can be taken as a linear combination of all the angular momentum representation. Summation L from 0 to infinity, M from minus L to plus L through 0, ALM of R referred to as expansion coefficients, JL of KR, YLM of theta, phi. Choosing the Z axis along the K direction, then K dot R is equal to KR cos theta, K into modulus R into cosine of the angle between them. And R cos theta is nothing other than the projection of the radial vector along the Z direction, and hence is referred to as the say Z component Kz. Using Bayes' formula, e raised to I kr cos theta can be written as e raised to I kz equal to summation over L from 0 to infinity 2L plus 1 I raised to L JL of